Shona cultural history. Today, we are embarking on a storytelling adventure through the world of Mutakurabere, a traditional Shona marriage practice that's as bold and cunning as the hyena it takes its name from. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss more stories from Zimbabwe's rich heritage. I am your guide, and over the next 30 minutes, we'll weave through the past like a hyena scouting its path, starting with the roots of Shona marriages, stepping through the ritual of Mutakurabere itself, sharing real-life tales from history, exploring its cultural significance, and reflecting on why it's faded into legend today. Grab your tea or coffee, settle in, and let's begin our journey back in time. Imagine, if you will, the vast sun-baked landscapes of pre-colonial Zimbabwe, the high plateaus of Mashonaland and Manikalaland, where the Shona people have thrived for centuries. The Shona, who make up over 80% of Zimbabwe's population today, are descendants of the builders of Great Zimbabwe, that magnificent stone city that stood as a testament to their ingenuity from the 11th to 15th centuries. Their society was built on strong family ties, ancestral spirits, vadzimu, and a deep respect for the land. Marriage wasn't just about two people falling in love, it was the glue that bound clans, secured alliances, and ensured the continuation of lineages. In Shona culture, there were several ways to tie the knot, each with its own flavor and purpose. First, there's the classic kukumbira, which means asking or requesting. This is the formal, respectful path. A young man, smitten by a girl, would approach her family through intermediaries, maybe his uncle or aunt. They'd negotiate the bride wealth, called roora or lobola, often paid in cattle, hoes, or blankets back then. It was a drawn-out affair, full of poetry, proverbs, and sometimes even riddles to test the suitor's wit. If all went well, the families celebrated with beer, song, and dance. Then there's kutema ugariri, a practical option for the less wealthy. If a man couldn't afford the full roora up front, he'd cut wood or work as labor on the bride's family's farm, plowing fields, herding cattle, building huts for months or even years until he'd earned her hand. It was honorable, showing his commitment through sweat and service. And don't forget kutizisa, the elopement route. This happened when a couple ran off together, often because the girl was pregnant or they just couldn't wait for approvals. They'd flee to the man's home, and negotiations would follow to make it official. But, now we come to the star of our story, Mutakurabere, also known as Mutakurabere, or sometimes whispered as Mutakurabere in old tales. The name itself is poetry. Musenga means scouting or pursuing, and bere is the hyena, that clever nocturnal hunter of the African savanna. Why a hyena? Because in Shona folklore, the hyena isn't just a scavenger, it's shrewd, opportunistic, and strikes when the moment is right. Mutakurabere was the daring, dramatic way for a man to claim his bride when other paths hit roadblocks. It was like a scripted adventure, part romance, part strategy, part cultural drama. This practice was fully recognized in Shona traditional law, not as kidnapping, but as a legitimate marriage form that led to the same outcomes: a binding union, children in the husband's lineage, and strengthened family ties. Let's break it down step by step, as if we are following a young suitor on his quest. Picture this. Our hero is a strapping young man in his late teens or early 20s, living in a thatched hut village surrounded by maize fields and acacia trees. The year is, say, the late 1800s, before colonial laws started meddling. Step 1. Initial interest and scouting. It all begins with a spark. Maybe he sees her at a village gathering, an himbe work party where everyone helps harvest crops, singing and laughing under the sun. Or perhaps at a rain-making ceremony where drums beat and ancestors are invoked. He spots her, graceful, with a bright smile, carrying water from the river or weaving baskets with her sisters. Her name is, let's say, Chipo, meaning gift. He's smitten. But he doesn't rush in. No, he scouts like the hyena. He observes her routines, when she goes to the river at dawn, when she tends the goats in the afternoon. He might try gentle courtship first, sending a friend to whisper compliments, offering small gifts like a carved wooden spoon or beads. In Shona tradition, courtship was subtle. Direct eye contact or bold declarations were rare, especially for the modest. He'd gauge her interest through stolen glances or her responses through intermediaries. This phase could last weeks or months, building tension like a storyteller drawing out the plot. But what if things don't go smoothly? Here is where the hyena's cunning emerges. Suppose Chipo's family is from a rival clan, or they eye a richer suitor with more cattle. Or maybe Chipo herself is shy, uninterested at first, or bound by parental wishes. Our hero tries the proper way. He sends his aunt to broach Kukumbira, but the response is a polite no or endless delays. He persists, more visits, more subtle wooing, but doors stay shut. Poverty might be the barrier. Without enough cattle for roora, he's stuck. In Shona society, marriage was practical. Love had to fit the family's needs. Frustration builds. He confides in his brothers or friends around the evening fire, sharing sadza and stories. If I can't win her the gentle way, I'll hunt like the bere, he thinks. This failure isn't defeat, it's the turning point, the moment the story shifts from romance to adventure. Now, the climax. Under a moonlit sky, with crickets chirping and the distant howl of real hyenas, he gathers his accomplices, 2 or 3 trusted kin, strong and swift. They've planned it meticulously from his scouting. They know her path home from the fields or river. As Chipo walks alone or with light company, they strike, emerging from the bushes, gently but firmly seizing her. It's forceful in the moment. She might cry out, struggle initially, as part of the cultural script to show modesty. But in many historical accounts, there was prior secret consent. A whisper from a friend, a nod at a gathering. She knew it was coming and agreed, seeing it as escape from an unwanted match or family pressure. They carry her, literally on shoulders or in arms, to his homestead, miles away perhaps. The act is dramatic, heart-pounding, like a scene from an epic tale. No harm comes to her. Respect is key. Upon arrival, his family welcomes her with warmth, a fire, food, a blanket. She's not a prisoner, but a bride in waiting. Step 4. Establishment as wife. Here is the magic of tradition. The moment she crosses that threshold, she's his wife under Shona custom. The community recognizes it instantly. Word spreads like wildfire. Runners or shouts alert her family. No police, no courts. This is valid law. If she truly objects deeply, she could leave, but culturally, the seizure forces resolution. Often she stays, especially if secretly willing. The homestead buzzes. Elders prepare for talks. Women comfort her. Children peek curiously. It's a rite of passage, transforming her from daughter to wife overnight. Step 6. Negotiation and bride wealth, roora or lobola. Dawn breaks and the drama continues. Chipo's family arrives, outraged at first, spears or sticks in hand, demanding her back. Shouts echo, "You've stolen our daughter!" But this is theater. Deep down, they know the custom. Negotiations begin around the fire, with proverbs flying. The hyena has hunted, but the lion must eat too. The man's family offers roora, cattle, goats, cloth, to compensate for the theft. Sometimes it's a premium price for the boldness. Payments might be immediate or installment-based. If he's poor, labor seals it, like kutema ugariri. Elders mediate, ensuring fairness. By midday, agreements are reached, beer is brewed, and the union is formalized with rituals, perhaps invoking ancestors with snuff or libations. Step 6. Integration and recognition. With roora paid, Chipo integrates fully. She learns her new family's ways, cooking sadza, tending gardens, honoring in-laws. The marriage is binding, equal to any other. Children born belong to his lineage, strengthening the clan. Celebrations follow, drums, dancing under stars, songs praising the hyena's clever hunt. The couple builds a life, hut, farm, family. In Shona eyes, this wasn't violence, but strategy, love conquering barriers. But times change. Colonial British laws in the late 1800s labeled it abduction, imposing fines or jail. Missionaries preached against it. Post-independence, Zimbabwe's Domestic Violence Act of 2007 and Constitution outlaw forced marriage, emphasizing consent and equality. Today, Mutakurabere is extinct, a relic in folk tales. Modern Shona weddings blend kukumbira with church ceremonies, roora negotiated respectfully. Women's rights groups highlight its patriarchal flaws, but elders remember it fondly as bold romance. Here are 5 commonly asked questions about the Mutakurabere, considered a highly controversial and harmful cultural practice within Shona society in Zimbabwe. 1. What exactly is Mutakurabere, and why is it called the hyena marriage? Mutakurabere was a traditional Shona marriage method where a man would scout, musenga, and then boldly seize or carry off the woman he desired to his family homestead, initiating the marriage. The name draws from the hyena, bere, an animal in Shona folklore, seen as cunning, opportunistic, and quick to act when the chance arises, much like the man's strategic hunt for his bride. It was one of several legitimate customary marriage types, alongside kukumbira, kutema ugariri, and kutizisa. Mutakurabere was more daring and forceful in appearance. It often served as a last resort when standard courtship failed due to barriers like family rivalries or insufficient bride wealth, roora. The ambush or seizure prompted immediate negotiations afterward, with roora still paid to formalize the union. While other methods emphasized agreement up front, Mutakurabere used the dramatic act to force resolution and was culturally valid if it led to consent and family integration. Today, any non-consensual element would be seen as abduction or forced marriage. How was Mutakurabere different from other Shona marriage practices? Unlike kukumbira, formal, polite family negotiations and roora payments, kutema ugariri, labor service in exchange for a wife when cattle were unaffordable, or kutizisa, mutual elopement, often due to pregnancy, Mutakurabere was more daring and forceful in appearance. It often served as a last resort when standard courtship failed due to barriers like family rivalries or insufficient bride wealth, roora. The ambush or seizure prompted immediate negotiations afterward, with roora still paid to formalize the union. While other methods emphasized agreement up front, Mutakurabere used the dramatic act to force resolution and was culturally valid if it led to consent and family integration. Today, any non-consensual element would be seen as abduction or forced marriage. What happened after the seizure in Mutakurabere? After bringing the woman to his homestead, she was immediately recognized as his wife under traditional Shona custom. Her family would arrive, often angrily at first, but negotiations for roora, bride wealth in cattle, goods or labor followed quickly, sometimes at a premium due to the boldness. Elders mediated with proverbs and discussions until agreement was reached. The marriage then became fully binding, with the woman integrating into her new family, performing duties, and bearing children who belonged to the husband's lineage. Celebrations with food, beer, and dances often followed, turning the dramatic start into a celebrated union. Why is Musenga-bere no longer practiced today? Musenga-bere has become extinct or extremely rare in modern Zimbabwe. Colonial British laws began labeling it as abduction, imposing penalties. Post-independence, Zimbabwe's legal framework, including the Domestic Violence Act of 2007 and constitutional protections for women's rights, requires mutual consent for marriage, making any forceful seizure illegal as kidnapping or forced marriage. Contemporary Shona weddings emphasize voluntary agreement, often blending kukumbira with civil, church or registry ceremonies, while roora remains central but negotiated respectfully. The shift reflects evolving values around gender equality, consent, and human rights, though the tradition lives on in folklore, songs, and stories as a symbol of bold love overcoming barriers. As our story ends, reflect. Musenga-bere teaches resilience, the dance of tradition and change. If this tale moved you, comment your thoughts. Have you heard similar customs? Share with friends. Subscribe for more. Until next time, stay curious about the world's hidden stories. Mauya kumusha kwenyu.